Jalen Hurts getting an opportunity to go down and play at the Manning camp. And listen, we just spent a whole segment talking about the power of the wide receiver position, the depth there, and the guys who are there and how good they can be. But if they don't get the ball to them, then does it matter? Everybody has assumed that Jalen Hurts can't get the ball to the wide receivers effective enough for us to take advantage of it, and therefore Alabama, because of all the wide receivers, may at some point make a move to Tua. Well, let me tell you why this weekend changes all of that. Immediately, what you heard coming out from some of the reports was that Jalen Hurts was a much improved passer and that he would be able to get the ball to the guys. As a matter of fact, here's what Eli Manning had to say about Jalen Hurts. He said, I had a chance to see Jalen play last season, and he can make a lot of plays throwing and running the ball. I saw him throw the football during the camp, and he can throw it well. He's a big, strong kid and has worked hard throughout this camp. I've been really impressed with his work ethic and ability. He stepped right in and started making plays right away, which was really impressive. It's tough for any player to step right in and succeed right away. Let me tell you why this weekend is a game changer for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has did something. We talk about him being a starting quarterback, James, as a true freshman. But it's not just that he was a starting quarterback. After the first game, he was the most veteran quarterback. Okay? You go back and look anywhere else in the country and tell me where a guy who steps on campus as a true freshman after playing one game has more playing time than any other quarterback on the roster, even if you count their mop-up duty. And why is that important? Because Jalen Hurts, not only was he a true freshman coming out of high school, he didn't have anybody to teach him the game. When you go back and look, you ask most quarterbacks, what do they say, James, when it comes to, hey, what did you learn from? Who did you learn from? Who did Jalen learn from? Who did Jalen Hurts learn from? He in the meeting room, listen to this, in the meeting room last year with Jalen Hurts was Lane Kiffin, who was always worried about calling plays, not really worried about developing quarterbacks. And for all of you who think I'm making that up, he told parents of players that is not his job. He left that up to the GAs to develop the quarterback. He wanted to call plays and orchestrate offenses. Then you had Cooper Bateman, Cornwell, and Blake Barnett. Who could teach him how to watch film? Who could say, hey, man, you're doing this wrong on your steps? Who was it that helped Jalen Hurts get better in the film room? Who did Jalen Hurts watch to say, hey, that's who I need to emulate? That guy's doing it right. Because if you go back, James, McElroy had JP. AJ had McElroy. Sims had AJ. Coker had Blake. And everybody forgets that he spent time at Florida State. So he had someone that had taught him and helped him transition to the college game. This is the first time Jalen Hurts has been around other quarterbacks with comparable or better talent that also had more experience and could help him get better. And Robert said, yep, that's why Blake had to go off to summer camp and learn to be a good quarterback on his own. Because once AJ was gone, there was no one else there. But at least he had a little bit of time in the meeting room. What's his name had no time in the meeting room with a veteran guy. And I think this weekend, being around guys will make a difference. Here's something that, listen to this, James. To become a better quarterback, Hurts said he has been focusing on improving on the little things. Quote from Jalen Hurts, "Your feet dictate a lot of things for a college quarterback," he said. "If your feet are good, you can put yourself in a position to make a lot of throws. In addition to my feet, I'm working on shoulder movement and looking calm whenever I'm in the pocket." These are things that coaches can teach you, they can tell you, James. But when you get around a whole group of guys that do it, and you spend some time with guys who's done it at a high level, it takes it to the next level. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, "In the mouth of two or more witnesses is a thing confirmed." and what that simply means is sometimes, hey, listen, all of you out there that have children, you tell your children to do something, right? You tell them you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. They never do it. Your neighbor comes over, or the high school coach comes over, or a teacher comes over and says, "Hey, you need to do this." They're like, "Man, that is a great idea." That's what this weekend was about for Jalen Hurts, is getting confirmation from somebody other than Nick Saban and Brian Daboll. Having some guys at his level, even though Tua's a special talent, Tua has never played a college game. Tua can't say what happens in real life in a college game because he's never seen the speed. Shea Patterson from Ole Miss can say, "Hey, when you start to scramble, this is what I do to make sure that I'm ready to make a pass." Austin Allen from Arkansas, who was at the camp, can say, "Hey, this is how I hold composure in the pocket." Eli Manning can say, "Hey, I was at Ole Miss and I didn't have a great offensive line, or I didn't have this. I didn't have the receivers you have, but this is what I worked on." I'm telling you, this weekend makes a difference in Jalen Hurts and Jalen Hurts' game moving forward. And that's good news for Alabama fans, because what you have right now is this. You have a bona fide, legitimate passer, accuracy-wise, that looks like he's untouchable in Tua. But he's not the starter. I think he's going to play some. What I want to see is them incorporate, and that's what Jalen said they're going to do. I want to see them meld together this pro-style offense with the RPOs. And Robert just pointed out the quote that I read from him were the three things that he struggled with last year. A lot of times when he threw the ball over the guy's head was because he didn't have his feet right. His shoulder was out of position and the ball went a little high. And then, of course, he would hurry up and bail out of the pocket. So I want to know from you, Alabama fans, how much more comfortable do you feel that it's coming out of New Orleans that he had a good camp, that he looks better, had a really good camp? And if he fixes the feet and he trusts what he sees, and Robert points out that vision and faster decision-making all comes out. I think all of these things are related, though. I think they're all related, James. I think his vision is related to his footwork. If he sees it, think about this. If I see you, James, but my feet are not correct, I can't throw it. Right? I mean, if I see it and my shoulder is high and I throw it, it looks like I threw it late because I wasn't ready. If I'm not calm in the pocket, it looks like I'm late. I think they're all related. I think he has to trust what he sees. He gets the footwork, the shoulder, and the composure in the pocket. Then he just has to decide, am I going to trust what I see and let it go? Because what happens is what he sees, he's not sure. He holds it. The receiver keeps moving. Then he throws it, and it's an inaccurate pass. All interrelated. Confidence is a beautiful thing for a quarterback. And I believe this weekend with Jalen Hurts going down and being around a bunch of other all SEC caliber players makes a difference in his confidence, and he trusts what he sees, and that is huge.
As far as the improvement at the Manning Passing Academy, is this at least a confirmation as well as far as just what all of us saw during A-Day, but also throughout the entirety of spring practice as far as just that overall theme of improvement when it comes to Jalen Hurts' complete game as a quarterback?
I think so. I think that what we got to see, James, is it's going to take some time, and I hope that as summer comes around, that this transfer actually translates into improvement on the field. He showed improvement in the spring, and if he gets the same level of improvement between spring and fall, then we're going to have a well-rounded quarterback in Jalen Hurts, a guy who can improve from a pretty awesome freshman year.